I journaled about this message this morning, and let me just tell you right now, people might win your spot. People might quote unquote take your spot, but that's not even what makes you who you are. It's not what makes you a success. It could be a part of your success story, but it's not what makes your success. Especially when you think about like competitions and your competitors and stuff like that. We always think about like, or even outside of that, and we're just trying to be artists, trying to be creators, and trying to be in the public in some way. We have this in our mind that if we don't show up, someone's going to take our spot. Let them take it. Because at the end of the day, that spot is such a small part of your story. And it's not even the greatest part of your story. So I had this dream. Where I was like with a collective of friends, and we were like at this event or something like that, and we had a spot on the couch. You know, we claimed that spot as our spot. But then something happened to where we had to go to the bar section, go get some drinks or do something. And when we came back, there were people in our spot, and we're like, hold on, girl. That's my spot. And, you know, the people are going back and forth with us like, well, y'all left, so now we're here. And now it's like this back and forth, like, if you want the spot, move us. If you want the spot, do something about it. In the dream, I was like, you know, I'm taking off my earrings. Like, okay, if that's the energy, let's go. I'm not a fighter. Let me start there. I am not a fighter, okay? And mid like taking off my earrings, mind you, I'm like in this dress, and it's like a very like not high fashion, but a very like fancy, classy event. And so the person that's in front of me is also like, you know what, if you want the spot, do something about it. So we both taking off our earrings, and like mid taking off my earrings, I'm like, this is not even worth it. I'm like, I'm not even a fighter. I'm not about to fight you over this spot when I know I can win somewhere else just as well. Oh, hello. Wait a minute. One thing about me, I love dream interpretation. I love pulling the messages out of my dreams to figure out what wisdom is there. And so later in that dream, you know, me and my crew, we have found a different spot. So we're standing, we're having just as much of a good time, because that spot at the couch did not make us. That spot at the couch did not make our energy. It is not why we are who we are. It is not why we were having such a good time, okay? We brought it. We brought the vibes. We brought the energy. We can stand our ground somewhere else and be just as happy, just as successful, just as powerful. Okay, also, the other message is, sometimes people are going to look at the spot that you're at and think that the spot makes you, and so therefore they want that spot just as bad. And when I think back to that dream, you know, I knew the person was watching us while we were on the couch. In their mind, they also think not only are they claiming this spot, but they also think they are claiming our success story. They think just because they take the same steps as us, move into the same spaces as us, that they are going to become us. You get what I'm saying? And that's just not the case, because like I said before, that space, that spot does not make you. People are going to try to mimic your steps, mimic your spaces, but at the end of the day, you cannot be recreated. Okay, you are a one-of-a-kind creation. You hear me? So when you find yourself in these moments where you're like, dang, I didn't get the position, dang, I didn't win in the competition, I didn't get first place, you know, I didn't get this, I didn't get that, someone else got it. I want you to remind yourself that the spot does not make you. You make the spot, actually. You bring the vibes to the spot. You make that spot successful itself. It's just an illusion that we have within ourselves and in society that a spot makes us successful. Sure, you might feel elevated. You might get to talk to a certain amount of people or certain people to help you elevate, but at the end of the day, it's you. It's you that creates that elevation. It's you that rises up to even, you know, be in the energy where that spot is like, oh my gosh, that's a good spot. It's because you're making it great. Okay, it's because you are. And this is how this story also relates to a point that I was in my life in the past. Okay, there was a point, you know, in college, and I'll talk about college a lot because that was like a lot of growth happened for me. But this message relates to that because back then, back in those days, I had entered a pitch competition. And, I had got my confidence up, and I had knew that I wanted to speak and that I wanted to inspire people, and I had a vision and I had a business plan. I had a dream, okay? I just needed a platform. And so what ended up happening was, when I was in that organization, Women in Entrepreneurship, there was an opportunity for me to enter a pitch competition. And my idea was that I wanted to start a podcast. Okay, I wanted to start a podcast that helped the uncommon voices become more common. So basically, it was like sharing my stories and the stories of others to help us not only relate to each other, but also to find the advice that we've always needed. That podcast has grown into this podcast. So I ended up applying for it to be in the competition. And I ended up being selected to pitch at the competition. I only had 5 minutes to speak. I only had 5 minutes to wow the people and wow the judges and get the bag, because the prize was money to fuel the dream, okay? And so what ended up happening is I won 3rd place. Now, I was ecstatic about it. I'm like, you know what, 3rd place, I'm still getting money. I got $1,000 to buy the podcast equipment that I needed. And so I was able to wow these judges, and I got a spot at this quote unquote table to speak and to start this dream and start this platform that I wanted for others and also wanted for myself. But in the back of my head, I'm like, dang, 3rd place? Like, why didn't I get 1st? Why didn't I get 2nd? What's going on? Once I got everything that I needed, I was like, this is enough. Like, the money that I got was absolutely enough. And also, the spot does not make me. I'm like, even if I didn't win 1st or 2nd place, the podcast is still here. I am still standing here. But it was not my story. It did not make me. As you can see, I make me. I'm standing here before you today, delivering these messages, regardless of what spot that I have. I feel like even if I didn't win, I will still be here today, because at the end of the day, this is my passion. This is a calling. This is something that I knew was a part of my story. So it was going to happen regardless. So I want you to also think about that within your own story. Just because you didn't get a spot, get a position, you're still going to become who you're meant to become, regardless of that spot, regardless of that position, regardless of that title. Another example that I have in my life is that maybe around 2019, there was also this opportunity to speak at a TEDx conference, in Michigan State, because they were holding the TEDx MSU things. And I was like, oh, this is my moment. At the time, I wasn't really all the way confident in public speaking just yet, but I knew, I was like, by the time that this opportunity comes around, I will be ready to stand up and to speak. I still remember what I was going to talk about in that TEDx, that TED talk that I was going to give, because in the application you had to share what your idea was. I wanted to speak about dream interpretation and how it can be used to connect with ourselves in a way where we learn lessons that our subconscious is trying to teach us. And I was very excited about this, but also I was telling myself, I was like, even if you don't get this, you're going to get there. But what ended up happening was I wasn't selected. They sent me an email like, hello, Mielle, thank you so much for taking the time to fill out this application and tell us about your story and this and that. But unfortunately, we're not going to give you a spot. A part of me was relieved, but then also a part of me was crushed. And a part of me that was crushed was the part that believed that if I did not land on that spot, if I did not get on that stage, when would I be speaking? When would I stand up and speak? Once again, look at me now. Am I standing? Hello? Am I speaking? Hello? So even that experience tells me and tells you that a spot does not make you. It wasn't in that moment that I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna stop following this passion of, wanting to be a speaker or wanting to motivate people. I guess I'll throw in the towel. This isn't meant for me. I was just like, okay, somebody else has that spot. I'll move somewhere else. I'll go somewhere else. No big deal. It's also about moving somewhere else, but also creating a spot for yourself. So in the life that you're cultivating, in the life that you're manifesting, understand that the spaces and the spots that you want to be placed in, you don't have to fight for it, because your energy is what makes it, and you can move somewhere else and create that space for you. Standing and speaking and delivering these messages, I just showed up. I just made myself known. And here I am standing, delivering this talk, even though I didn't get that space on that stage. I created my own stage. And you also have to create your own stage. If you want to show up for yourself and show up for your dreams, be willing to walk away from spaces that were, I don't even want to say taken from you, spaces that were not given to you, and understand that you can give a space to yourself. You can give a much greater space to yourself. You can reach a much greater audience. You can connect with yourself on a deeper level once you realize that the space that you walked away from is only preparing you for the space that you're going to realize that you can create for yourself.